backyard,
Hmm.
my neighbors' backyards, and it's a mess. It is just a mess.
Goose grease everywhere.
Yep,
Hmm.
it's in the driveway.
Oh, yuck.
Yeah,
Too bad goose isn't better eating.
I don't know how to get rid of, I've got to Google how to get rid of Canada geese. Well, Greta's coming. That's good.
Dogs.
Dogs are good.
Yeah.
I heard
Yeah.
lasers are pretty good. They
Good
don't
morning,
like
John.
they don't like lasers.
You mean like aiming that beam at them?
Yeah, they make things that you put out and it just has a laser that continually move and it hits them in the eyes and they don't like it. They take off. It's a guy that I used to sell equipment to down in Louisville, Kentucky, and he puts these things out at airports to keep the birds from obviously obstructing
Yeah.
landing and takeoff.
That sounds interesting.
It's different.
Yeah.
So, but I don't think
Okay.
they're inexpensive. That's the only problem with any kind of laser product.
Oh.
Is Jeff Opperman here? I don't know if he's coming.
I don't see him.
I think maybe we should get started.
Hey, Anne, good morning, by the way.
Good morning, Greta.
I have to run out and drive my daughter to school at 8:50, but Christy, could I switch to like the phone, like get off the video, switch to phone, and then I can still be listening while we're driving? And then
You absolutely can. Right on screen, you should see the agenda on the right-hand side. This is a phone line. There's a phone number you can call in. Do you
Got
see?
it. Yep, I see it.
And then you'll have to type in the ID and password.
Okay.
And listen to the prompts because it automatically mutes you. But the key code for unmuting yourself on a phone is, I believe, *6.
*6.
Want to speak? It'll tell you when you log in with your phone what the unmute code is, but I believe it's *6.
Okay, cool. All right. Okay, thank you.
Okay, everyone is here.
Let's start.
This is the Village of Chagrin Falls Parks Commission
Hey,
meeting.
Ann, just give me 1 second. Let me record. I'm resume. Thank you. If you could start over. Appreciate
Okay. Good morning. This is the Village of Chagrin Falls Parks Commission meeting on Wednesday, March 3rd at 8:30 a.m. I would like to ask that we approve the minutes of the meeting held on February 3rd.
I'll second that. Everybody seconded. Third.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, the first important person on our agenda is Rob Jameson to tell us about all kinds of wonderful things happening in the village.
Thank you very much, Ann. Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
We had our initial operating budget proposal before council last week, where we proposed quite a few things that will be improvements for our village parks. We still have to go through our capital budget proposal, which will probably happen in April. But I'll just kind of wanted to touch and let everyone know what we're planning and what we're proposing for council's approval for this year. In the operating budget, we're proposing to replace the River Run and Dog Park fence down at River Run Park, the fence for the dog park, and along the service department south border or the north border of the dog park is in bad need of replacement. We're going to be putting in a new one there. We're also planning to install the Grove Hill fence, which was one of the requirements of the Grove Hill land donation to the village. And that'll be a black wrought iron fence separating the Grove Hill house, 3 West Summit, from the new village parkland coming off of West Cottage. We have money put in for Riverside Park landscape materials for the stairway leading up to the library, as well as the embankment to the river, some other areas that are being identified right now, and then some additional money for general landscaping in the parks that we do every year. The big ticket and the exciting items are the capital improvements plan. We do want to propose the new Arboretum Trail at the Vincent Street Arboretum that would go from the Arboretum down the hillside, down to the river area below, and work on the design for that. We do have our grant that was extended of $65,000 to contribute towards that project as well. So we're hoping to move forward with that this year. The second, we have looks like we have an earmark through the state of Ohio for $100,000, and the village hopes to add $25,000 to that for Riverside Park walkway replacement and other related improvements. We're hoping to get a good chunk of the brick walkway, starting where the pathway up to the library ended at the bottom, and then continuing that west as far as possible. We're not going to do the area adjacent to the wing walls or anything like that, because all of that will be disturbed as part of the wing wall project, probably in 22 or 23. We're looking at doing the next phase of the Triangle Park brick sidewalk replacement. That should take us a pretty good section of the outer rim brick pavement, or that's now currently just the paver blocks. And we'll be replacing that with the standard red brick that we used in the center and the other crossing pathways. I think we'll still have one more phase after this to complete that project, but by doing it in phases, we can fit it in and get some of these other projects done as well. We have money in the budget for the Grove Hill Park design and engineering phase of the project, and I know that Nancy might be touching on that here a little bit later. We have a meeting this afternoon with that commission to start the process for that development of that parcel. We are planning to replace the Falls viewing deck in the next phase, the north-south section that starts on Campaign Alley and goes down to the section that we already replaced. We have a pretty significant dollar amount in there for that. It's about $60,000 to replace all of that. And then the final section, the final item we're going to be addressing is the Hillside Stabilization, engineering and design, looking at the hillside of the Falls viewing area adjacent to the popcorn shop coming off of North Main, going down the hillside. A lot of that is unstable. There's some old railroad ties that were staked in place probably 30 or 40 years ago that are all in pretty poor condition. We have a retaining wall there that under the sidewalk that's starting to crumble, and we're looking at stabilizing that entire area, coming up with a good plan for that, and then next year executing that plan and putting money in the budget to stabilize the hill, put in some landscaping, and then replace the final section of the deck work going down to meet the section we're replacing this year. So we have a lot of exciting things coming this year, and look forward to working with the Parks Commission on bringing these ideas to fruition and getting everyone's input. So if anyone has any questions, I'd be glad to hear them at this time.
For clarification, the brick path in Riverside, where you're starting at the library entrance?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Because all that's brand new brick, and we wanted to just match into that and then start working west from there. We did want to also address the area near the playground and look at straightening the brick pathway in that area and stabilizing the bank over there. We'll be looking at those designs as well.
What do you mean about straightening the path by the playground?
We're looking at straightening the path so it doesn't jog around the playground, so that it's more in line, in a straight line with the river bankment.
So it would be essentially on the south side of the playground.
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah, I remember we talked about that years ago.
we did.
And right now, that's still in the conceptual phase, the idea. We found out not too long ago about the state earmark of the $100,000. We don't know the details about how that money will be presented to the village. The way that it looks is that it's a direct appropriation, so I don't think it'll be through a Nature Works grant or anything like that. So as those details are clarified, then we'll be able to move forward with that project.
So do you think that work will start this year?
That's the hope, yes.
Oh, that's great. And John is redoing the dog run and River Run Park. Is that right, John?
Yeah, we will be landscaping it once the fence goes up and stuff.
We can't hear you.
Can you hear
Can
me
you
now?
get a little better?
I don't have good hearing on my end either, but we are gonna be re-landscaping it.
Okay. Are you enlarging it too?
I believe so a little, and we'll have an entrance gate closer to Solon Road and just one entrance gate.
Okay, let's see.
I had one other question about the wrought iron fence around Grove Hill
Yes.
Park. I was just curious because it went so fast. Where is it exactly? Is it going to be in the front on both
No.
sides?
It's
Yeah.
going to be halfway up the hillside. It'll be at the property line between the park and the private residence.
Okay.
So it's to delineate the property line and keep public people from going up the hill further.
Okay.
Kind of
Okay.
separating the two parcels.
Okay. Thank you. And that'll be this spring too, or
Yeah.
summer? Okay.
Spring, summer, somewhere in there.
Okay.
This is more than we've ever had in 1 year, as long as I've been on parks, I think. It's great.
Yeah, it's awesome. And the Arboretum Trail also is going to be started. And
We'll have a public meeting once we get some plans and designs put together to get input from the neighbors and from the community. Kind of look at what we're able to do with the funding we have available. And we can do that in phases too, depending on what the outcome of those meetings are. But we did do some basic clearing of those areas, or at least a little bit of that area. So at least you can walk down the hill and kind of get a vision for what's anticipated there.
awesome.
Is Craig Karst doing the design?
He's involved in that, yes.
Okay. Great.
What are they gonna use for a border again at Riverside Park with the walkway? Is it gonna be railroad ties, or are we gonna do something different that's gonna hold up a little better?
I don't think we're going to do railroad ties. We haven't got into the details of that.
Okay,
We wanted something that would be a smooth transition from
Right.
the brick surface to the grass. We didn't want a trip hazard like we have now. We
Right.
also wanted something that would be able to contain the edges of the bricks
Right.
so that they don't spread out and get damaged over time. So whether that's just a normal brick edging or whether we do something a little more formal, I'm not sure yet. We haven't finalized those details, but I would assume it would be similar to what we have at Triangle Park with the brick, where we have kind of just a very smooth transition from the brick to the grass. Make it very natural and easy for kids and everybody else that enjoys the park to go back and forth. Have a nice hard surface underneath, so that we don't, well, we're looking also at, impervious surfaces so we can, or pervious surfaces so we can allow water drainage.
Yeah.
We're looking at a variety of options right now, but the one thing I can say is we would look to use the same standard red brick that we used in the serpentine path to the library. We're trying to standardize that brick for all pedestrian walkways in all our village parks.
Will it be the same company installing the bricks as did the walkway at the library?
I don't know, that it's up to a public bid. So
Okay, they did a wonderful job. I walk on that every single day and it's beautifully done.
it's a huge amenity. Yes,
Mhm.
much better than the old steps.
Yes. Does anybody have any more questions for Rob? Well, thank you, Rob. I appreciate your making the time to be with us today.
Sure. If anybody has any questions or needs any more information, please reach out to me and be more than happy to work with everyone and look forward to bringing some of these ideas back to you as we move forward.
Excellent. Thank
Thank
you.
you, Rob.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Next on our agenda is Janet Engeld, who has proposed tree decoration and photo opportunity in Riverside Park in April. And I know, Janet, you're out there somewhere, so
I'm
there she
promoting
is.
her to a panelist. I've been communicating with her via email. So Janet, now is a time when you can unmute and start your camera and you will be on screen with the group.
Okay.
Yeah,
Can you
thank
hear me
you.
okay?
And if you would start your camera for us.
We can hear you.
Oh,
We can hear
perfect.
you.
Start my video.
There you are.
Hi.
Hi, Janet.
Hi, Anne. Hi,
It's so
everyone.
nice to see you without a mask.
Yes, that's so true. Well, Anne, do you want me to just talk to
Yes,
everyone a little bit
please.
about what I was asking
Mhm.
Parks to do? Okay. Hi, my name is Janet. I live in the township. We've lived here about 5 years. I am a florist. I usually do weddings and event work. I've done weddings and event at Lowe's on 306. And with COVID, I've sort of put a pause on all of my wedding work, and it's allowed me to move back into a space of doing floral as art, which is where I started when I started in Ann Arbor, Michigan, before we moved here. So I've been trying to find ways to put flowers sort of back into people's lives and the joy that they bring, and get back into it just as an art instead of just for brides. And along those lines, I had reached out to Anne to see about putting flowers in a public space just as a way for people to stumble upon while you're walking your dog in the morning, or if you're playing with your kids at the playground, to just sort of be a pretty thing that brings people joy, and particularly also someplace that would set up for a really cute photo in Chagrin. I loved when we moved here, the town has such a history of a connection to artists, which is also, I was born and raised in Ann Arbor, Michigan, is also really an art town, with a history of that. And I just loved the idea of joining that community and that history in Chagrin. So I had reached out. I have selected a specific tree in the downtown park that I was hoping to do flowers that would just sort of run up and around the tree. And it has the river as the background. And actually you can see, if you looked one way up, you could see the Methodist church. If you sort of shot, you could see down the river. I submitted a picture of the actual tree, if Christy could show.
I absolutely can. Just give me a moment.
Thank you. And then I submitted a picture of this tree to the Shade Tree Commission, so that they could take a look at it. And I also submitted some pictures of sort of examples of the type of work that I'm talking about. So this is the actual tree, and
And
how
that's actually Federated Church in the background.
Oh, thank you. Yes,
Mhm.
yes. So how people would be able to sort of take a picture that feels very iconically Chagrin to me. And then you can also, if you stood to the side, you can photograph and sort of get the river down. And then that's, if we can look at the next two pictures, that's sort of the example of how flowers go up and around a tree. There's a couple of examples of it. This is very bridal and wedding, in its colors and how it's sort of constructed. I'd be looking at making something that's just colorful and springy and joyful, in its base. And you can see how it's done by it sort of goes up, it drapes over the branches. So it's hanging from its own weight. I don't need to put nails into the tree or anything that's going to cause damage to the tree. And it would be made of fresh and live flowers. So it would only last for a couple of days. So I would show up, I would install it sort of morning of day one, and then probably evening of day three, come and take it all down and take it all with me. So it would be a short thing. And yeah, do you have any questions or anyone?
I have a question. It does.
Yes.
I'm not asking this to be rude, but is this something like you're using as marketing or advertising for your business, or just to share with Chagrin the loveliness of your work?
It's mostly to share with Chagrin. I have some that I'm doing later in the summer that I'm like partnering with a photographer, and we're going to do some backgrounds for wedding photography or things like that. And I sort of, as I was moving through, like, this is what I want to create. How do I go about doing this? It triggered a little bit that like I'm making something beautiful that only people who can afford to pay for it get to experience. And I thought, wouldn't it be great if I could also find a way that I'm not making any money off of, that is just like it's
a
pretty
benefit.
and you get to encounter it.
Right, that makes sense. Because yeah, it has to make sense for you to do it. I mean, I understand that, and that's a good way for you to stage it.
I am
yeah.
hopeful to be able to like post it on my Facebook page and just be like, this is the kind of work I do. Like, hey guys, I did this. Go let your kids play with it and, you know, take a picture under it. It's only going to be up for a day or two. I would like to be able to do that, but I'm definitely not planning on like monetizing it or hanging my name on it.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yep. And it's good for me. It's also, it's a practice at my craft. You know,
Right.
I like the challenge of like, I've done this in other applications and I've done it off barn beams and things for people. But what I do is an art, but it is also a craft. There's a, you know, a how-to and a mechanics and things. And
absolutely, it's beautiful. Yeah.
My craft. So it's a nice way to practice at something a little outside of what I've already done.
And another negative, I'm not, I'm glad it's 3 days and it's temporary because my vision is like, we have these rogue teenagers lately, right, that Anne was telling us about who love to hang out in the park. And my fear would just be that they would damage it. But if it's 3 days, I mean, I'm sure that they would hopefully be kind enough to stay away for and let us all enjoy it.
And so that's one of my questions for the group is, I know from filling out the application online, that we're not supposed to put any signage and that's fine. But I wanted to ask if you all felt that it would be worth putting some kind of signage that says, you know, like, this is for public consumption. Please take pictures on it. Please engage with it. Please be kind and leave it intact for others, or, you know, something that's like, oh, this isn't, you know, someone about to get married, like, please don't go near it. You know, I want people to engage with it. But then also that sense of just like, hey, be kind, like, don't steal all the flowers out of it, please.
Yeah, I like the idea of something to explain it a little bit like that. I don't know. What does everyone else think? Something brief.
What do you think, Nancy? I know generally we haven't had signs in the park, but
yeah, I know.
I think a little explanation would be nice.
Well, I don't know.
I am also
Signs are
hoping
difficult. The directional signs are okay.
So I'm hoping after I move through the process of getting approved to be able to do it, my next step would be seeing if I can find some sponsorship so that I'm not fully out of pocket for purchasing the product. I don't plan to make any money off of it at all, but it's with other things that I've done like this, I've been able to find people who are willing to sort of support it as art. And I thought on my list of people that I might approach to talk to would be like the chamber or some of the businesses downtown or something, as a, you know, just supporting what's happening in the community. And if it ends up that I can find some support in that way, then I might come back and say, if they had a request for signage, or, you know, they want to put a hashtag on it, like hashtag chagrin, or, you know, something like that. Again, I'm not looking to hang my name on it or advertise off of it or anything like that. I can post a picture to my Instagram and I'm good. But if we did want something that says like, be kind to it, or please take, you know, put a hashtag on it or something so people know that they can engage with it. Or we just put it and assume that when people stumble upon things, they touch them and play with them and do. Have you had a lot of issues with vandalism in the park? I guess I wasn't aware that I know it's definitely a hangout place for that sort of middle school, young high school, but I didn't know if you guys were having issues with vandalism or things disappearing.
We have had in the old skating shelter, the kids have trashed that. They wrecked a bench on a picnic table. They leave a lot of trash around. They do hang out at the playground too, which is not too far from your proposed installation.
Yeah, it'll be in sight line from the playground for sure.
Yeah, so it's anybody's guess what will happen.
Okay.
Yesterday I was walking through the park and there were two kids on skateboards at the entrance to the park at Riverside, and they were up on the walls and trying to jump their skateboards from the benches. And I asked them politely if they could please keep their skateboards on the ground, and they agreed. But you know, you just never know what they're going to do.
Yeah, and that's part of public installation and public floral that I've come across before. Is there is always the chance that that's what happens, and if that's what happens,
Yeah.
usually I can stop by and make minor tweaks and kind of pull it back together if little parts of it disappear. You know, it's not the end of the world, and if they take it down, then they take it down. And that's what happened, and that's okay.
I don't think they will, but honestly, I don't know. The only thing I'm concerned about is it would be nice to have something that explains what this is and invite people to take pictures or whatever.
I don't think we're in a position at this meeting to decide on a sign and what it might say or not say. And
But can we approve this project?
yeah, if we want to, sure. But
Yeah,
that wouldn't include a sign or
No.
advertising or anything like that.
right.
I would also love recommendations on timeline for it. In my kind of schedule of how my business looks and my timeline for it, I was thinking something mid to late April works before my business sort of picks up and some other things get busy. I think it's a nice time of year that people are going to be walking their dogs and playing at the playground. So they'll encounter it, and it's the right temperature where my product won't freeze and die overnight. It also won't cook in the sun, like it's not July. And I would love to have approval for a couple of days, and then maybe also like a backup plan. There's no point in me installing it if we're going to have 3 days of where the
Right.
temperature bottoms out and it's pouring rain. So if I could have a little bit of a window that says, you know, whatever are the best kind of looking days during this. And then also I know the park is being used that time of year for a lot of other things. So I wouldn't want to be disruptive to something else that's happening in the park. Or perhaps there's a time when it makes sense because there's other things that are artistic happening in the park that it's cohesive to. So I was hoping you guys could give me some insight into timeline.
I agree with you that it would be better to do it in the second half of April because from the 1st to the 8th, we're probably going to have 2 of those inflatable flowers.
Yep. And
Well,
Easter,
only one in Riverside, but it'll probably be near the entrance. And also the story walk is going to be put up for April and May, but that would be okay because it would invite people to look at what you've done too, because they'll be walking along reading the story. So, and the book is Blossom, so it kind of goes with the theme.
oh, that's so fun.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I like the idea in the late spring too, because the flowers haven't really fully
Right.
come out yet, right? It's not the heat of summer, like you said, and it gives people a little hope and, you know, excitement about the season.
yeah,
Yeah, in the middle of summer when our gardens are all big, we see
Yeah.
flowers and we're like, oh, those are so pretty. But in the spring, it's like everything that pops. You're just like, look at those.
Yeah.
It's so colorful.
Yeah.
So it'll have a more joyful impact on people that slightly earlier in the spring. I agree.
right. Well, I would like to make a motion that we approve this application, knowing that we don't know exactly what the date will be, but sometime in the second half of April.
Well, I think we should have there's a date on the application, isn't there?
Yes.
I did. The application requires a date. It wouldn't let me complete the process without putting in a date. So I put in the weekend of like the 23rd.
22nd to the
something.
25th that you have. Yeah.
So I put in for that weekend that felt ideal to me, but I would also be perfectly great, you know, with the weekend before, if the weather is better then. Is there, but I just wasn't sure if it would allow for that flexibility.
I would think we could allow flexibility. I mean, it's not like it's, pardon me?
When is the other flower installation? What are the dates for that?
April
Beginning.
1st to the 8th.
1st to the 8th? Okay.
And there's just going to be one in Riverside, and it's probably going to be at the entrance. I don't know. And we're going to hear from Angie about that in a little bit.
Right, but yeah. I guess I would prefer putting a date in and requesting a change if necessary.
That sounds good.
That's fine.
So what would the process be? Because I'll be able to tell the weather and such as we get closer to that date. If we stick with the date as on the original application, and we do get closer and it seems like it's not going to be the ideal time, and I'd like to push it to the weekend before, what would the procedure or process be to make sure that I'm managing that correctly?
I don't know. We have another parks meeting before you're going to be doing installation. I think the next meeting is April 7th. Yeah.
April 7th.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So does that give you a little more leeway then?
Yeah, and I can definitely plan on kind of resubmitting for your meeting that date, and hopefully
Okay.
we can look a little bit more and then pick between those 2 weekends. And then if anything comes up from your end of other scheduling of things, or if you had a preference for me to shift one way or the other, we can both address it at that time. I think that's fine.
Well, can we approve it today for the April 22nd to 25th days? And if we have to change them, we'll change it at the next meeting.
Are you making a motion to do that?
Yes,
Okay, I would second that
great.
for those dates, for the dates on the application.
Right.
Yeah.
And if something comes along, then we have to change it. We can do that at the next meeting. Okay, so your application is approved, Janet. Thank you. I look forward to
so
it.
much, everyone. I really appreciate it.
Janet, one name I wanted to throw out to you is this local woman in Geauga County who owns a flower farm, and her name's Emily Peck. And I'm not sure if you would want to contact her or not, but I mean, part of that circular economy, like looking at some of her flowers that she is offering at the shed in town, like on a subscription basis, you can buy her fresh flowers that she grows on her farm. And her last P-E-K. She's really neat person, so she might be someone you want to know.
Absolutely. Thank you. Yes, I've been working with Shed. I have some stuff in their windows right now, and I knew that they were doing a partnership, so I will definitely reach out to her. Thank you so much for giving me her name. And thank you so much for letting me join your meeting today. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
We look forward to your project.
Thank you.
Yeah,
All right,
thank
bye
you.
now.
Okay, next one. Yes,
I have to step out. I have to go to another meeting.
okay.
Mark's gonna chime in on here, so bear with him. He's never done this before, but he's gonna take over for me.
We'll help him.
Where's
Okay.
your next meeting? At the beach?
No, I gotta meet with your wife, the cemetery
I
meeting.
know. I realize that. Yeah, that'll be a fun one, believe me.
Yes. I was ordered to go there.
Oh, okay.
Well,
Yeah,
thanks for coming to this meeting, John.
All right.
I just
you guys-
noticed your backdrop. That was all. I thought, maybe you were put the beach scene, for your next meeting.
I'm trying to brighten things up here.
And you do. Thank you, John.
All
Just
right.
by
bye-bye.
being there, you make everything bright, John.
Okay, the next item on our agenda, hi, Mark. Is,
morning.
morning. Is the application from the Chagrin Valley Little Theater and Chagrin Falls Studio Orchestra for a concert on the 4th of July in Riverside Park from 2 until 4 o'clock. So Nancy, can you tell us details about that?
Yeah, I guess so. I'm not going to vote on this because I'm on the Little Theater Board. So I'm not going to vote on it, but it's Steve Eva. He's the Chagrin Falls Studio Orchestra. He does orchestra concerts at the Little Theater, the holiday concert, the
Right.
spring concert, He's done summer concerts, I think of first responders in commemoration of that day. He's done a couple of those. He did, let's see, a concert in the park, it's probably 5 years ago now.
Mhm.
So he's, he's a chagrin orchestra. He lives in Bainbridge, but his home is in the Chagrin Valley Little Theater. So I don't know how many pieces he'll have. He'll bring his own chairs. Each musician brings his own chairs. He needs electricity. I know the last time he did a concert, he did it toward the, not back of the park, but maybe
Yeah,
the middle.
It was like near the place where the tent is for Blossom, the big like.
Yes, right
Yeah.
around there. And he put up a little platform, a wood platform sitting on the ground to read. Now, I don't know whether he's planning to do that this time or just have the musicians have their chairs, right on the grass. I could get some more details on that. But he would need electricity for the sound system. And it'll be a, patriotic, happy, jazzy concert, 4th of July style stuff.
The Chamber's having concerts in July and August that we've already approved.
Right.
And on that application, they asked to have the instrumentalist on the patio plaza area. And so then the audience would be sitting in chairs they bring themselves and sit on the grass facing Main Street. I would envision Steve Eva doing the same thing, but
You mean in the front of the park?
yeah, I don't know if that it really matters, although there's a lot of traffic noise, but
Yeah, there's traffic noise and there's the false noise.
right.
Well, I don't know. I can walk over there with him and have him take a look and see if that's enough space for him. And
I think whatever he wants to do is fine. It's just we have to be mindful of social distancing and, who knows what it's going to be like by the 4th of July. But I think we still have to have that in mind and wearing masks.
well, yeah, right. That's for the people attending too.
Yeah.
So it just, I don't know. Is there enough room up there?
Oh, yeah.
Where were the people going to stand in the park, going back away from?
Yeah, well, like last year, the Encore Chamber concert took place there. And they were on the plaza and then they were socially distanced. The audience was socially distanced on the grass. And it worked out fine.
Mhm. Well,
So,
yeah, I can talk to him about it. That's probably an easier location. He wouldn't have to put up a platform or anything.
yeah,
But, I guess he was thinking, since he did one back there once before, that's what he was thinking about. So
I
I'll
think
see if that-
either one is fine. It's just we need to be mindful of keeping everybody socially distanced.
well, either place, there's plenty of room for that.
Yeah. So can we approve this today?
Haven't things opened up now? The governor said that, they're gonna start allowing bigger crowds in performing arts centers and sporting
Right.
events, things like that. So by July, I would think that we might be allowed to have a lot more people, but I don't know.
Yeah, and somebody suggested, I don't know whether it was for this, because somebody was suggesting putting circles, painting, spray paint or something.
It was
circles
Molly
on the lawn.
Gebler was going to do that for the July and August concerts.
Right.
She has some
Molly-
kind of
okay.
spray that disappears eventually.
Yeah,
And John was fine with that.
eventually can be a while.
No, but it's not something that's going to stick around for a long time.
That is a relative term. Yeah, so
Yeah.
I guess we, if it were necessary, we could do something like that too. Have
Yeah.
a little circle, so families, people that had their own group and stuff could sit together.
Right.
So so it wasn't a sprawling, individualized event.
So I would like to make a motion that we approve this. application.
I'll second.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
Thank you. Okay, Angie, are you there? Angie DiBernardo is up next.
Angie is on the line and I will promote her to a panelist. She knows what to do. It just takes a moment to connect.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Angie.
How are you?
It's a beautiful day.
It is another beautiful day. Yesterday was gorgeous. I was out walking in our parks, enjoying them. So thank you guys for all you do because they are a gift. So do you want me to just jump into this or
Yes,
I need a
please.
busy agenda? Okay, so the Arts Commission the council referred an art project, an art installation to the Arts Commission that would like to visit our town the first week of April, called Hope Blooms, Ohio, which is a display of 5 gigantic inflatable flowers. And it was presented by a group of students in Beechwood. It's a program, it's the area marketing program that's across all of our schools, and several of the students in the program are from Chagrin Falls schools. The Arts Commission approved recommended the installation and referred it back to council, and council approved it. And I met with the guy yesterday to try to figure out where we're putting these flowers. So we would like to put 2 in the parks, 1 in Riverside and 1 in Triangle. So I'm here today to discuss with you the possible locations and get your input. So let me first, can I share my screen? Or is that possible or not, Christy?
Yes, it's possible. Go ahead.
Okay. I just want to, give you a quick rundown. I see you have a busy agenda. So let me share this one. Okay. Okay, so this is the website for Hope Blooms, Ohio. They also have a Facebook page and a Instagram that they're running. So you can go and read about it there if you want. It's basically just designed to promote hope and get us all feeling better after coming out of a tough year. And they're also raising money for the food bank, for the Cleveland Food Bank. They're hoping to raise $40,000 for the Greater Cleveland Food Bank through donations. If you look at their locations, their proposed locations, just so you are in the know about what where this exhibit would be, they are planning to go from, I'm waiting for this to load. Well, I'll just tell you. Okay, so they're planning to go from downtown. They're going to start in where's their first location? They start in Beechwood, I believe, and then they go to Mayfield. They're in both of those locations. They're going to be located at the high schools, which are located on main thoroughfares, so people can see the flowers in town. And then when they come to us, this is the first time that they would like to do something kind of in town because we have a nice downtown area. Then they will also be traveling to Cuyahoga Falls, Lakewood, and then end at the Cleveland Public Library downtown. So yesterday they went around and looked at locations, and now I'm going to shock you guys with a picture of a giant flower in Triangle Park. And one of the I know, check it out. So these are really horrible Photoshops, just so you know. My skills are not that good. But
reminds me of the Macy's Day Parade.
I know, exactly. That's what John and Mark, when they were walking around yesterday.
You can't put helium in them, and then we could walk down the street with them.
Right. When John and Mark were walking around yesterday, that's what they were teasing them about. Like, are we going to have the guys here to hold them down? But so basically, they would like to place 5 of these flowers in town. And like I said, we would like to put 2 in the parks. And my idea was that we would place 1 in Triangle in this location. The flowers are about 25 feet long. And at the ends, they're basically 8 feet tall, the flower around the end. So it's the size of a person. So this probably doesn't display the full end of the flower because like I said, bad Photoshop. But that's where when they talk to John and Mark, they can secure this without staking in this area. John warned them about all the sprinkler systems and everything in the area. And I guess since we've installed those anchors for the tree, they will be able to use the anchors, as well as when the guy says that they have both water barrels, which are ugly, but they also have these steel plates that they can use to help hold things down if they need to do that. And they will work with Mark and John and our streets department on the day of installation to make sure that they're not damaging anything. So that's where I think would be the best location in Triangle Park. Obviously, it can go on the other side as well. From what it sounded like yesterday, Triangle Park is just filled with a sprinkler system. So there's no great park there, no great place, no better place there. So if you have any input on that location, does that work, or does that not work for Triangle?
It's, as far as I'm concerned, it's fine. I just want to make sure that we aren't going to damage the irrigation system.
Right. So I think that John and Mark made that pretty clear to them, and they know when they'll be coming, and they'll be there to help make sure that, the guy knows that they can't stake it there. And I guess we have those big tie downs on at least 2 sides. So I think he was thinking they would use the tie downs on one side and steel plates on the other. The steel plates are let me show you a picture of those, because let's see where I can pop into that. So when they were in New York, these are the same flowers. So here they are, like in New York when they were on display in New York. If you see on this one here, you can see can you see my mouse?
Mm-hmm.
These are the steel plates that are used to weigh them down. Apparently they're way up to 100 pounds a piece. So if they need to place those on the ground instead of staking, they can do that. And it seems pretty inconspicuous versus a water barrel. So I'm not concerned about them. At least it seemed like, maybe Mark can chime in, but it seemed like they were cognizant of the fact that we don't want anything staked into the ground in that area.
Will they be roping this off too, like you see in these pictures, or not?
He did not say that they need to be roped off. I did ask him about, whether we worry about people stepping on them or not. And he didn't seem to have that concern, because that's what I'm picturing, kids like jumping on them. So we can decide. Yeah. If we want to tell them they have to do things in a certain way, I think we can, if we say certain things have to be done. But they seemed very easy to work with, at least yesterday. And they've been in a number of places. So this would be the time for us to tell them if we have any particular requirements that we want to, give to them for the park. So let me go on to Riverside. So Anne, I know.
So Angie, before you go to Riverside, where is there electrical on at this part of the park? Maybe Mark, do you want
to talk to that? Because we spoke about it yesterday, but they gave him some options. But Mark, are you here? Yeah, you're here, right?
He is, but he needs,
audio.
Right behind the bandstand, we do have the electric panel, and we came up with a couple of different ways to get the power to the flowers without them being a trip hazard.
Okay.
And I think we came across some pretty good ideas.
There's electric on those light poles too, right here, at the corners. So there is electric there. I don't think they're going to need, much in the way of power. Just
it's
one.
It's a 110, 20
amp circuit, and that's it. Yeah.
But aren't they illuminated too at night?
Yeah, but he said that it's just 110. It's just a 110 20 amp is what he said they need. So when they discussed it yesterday.
Okay.
So,
okay.
And I did in Riverside, they did discuss the light pole. So it sounds like the light pole can do that. Is that correct, Mark, or no?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. So so that's nice that the light pole's right there if we needed it, because we all agreed that putting that panel up that we put up for the Christmas tree is overblown. It's just this gigantic thing. And, they did say they have ramp walkway covers if you need to run a cord across the walkway, they could do that and then fix it so that, you know, it wouldn't obstruct the walkway. But if there's a way to just do it within the grassy area, we wouldn't have to, you know, block the sidewalks in any way or change the sidewalk in any way.
So what about the inflatable like stage or backdrop, whatever that is?
Okay, so that I don't know if I don't have a good picture. I mean, I have a picture of it, but not in position. But they have like a I think it's like they call it a step and repeat, or like a backdrop for you know, like they do at events, that they want to put up as well. And I had originally proposed when I sent Ann an email on this that we place it here in the bandstand, but everybody basically, Mark, John, the guy from the company, and then Ann actually called in yesterday to say that's a terrible idea. So, so
Well, it's just that we have
there.
constant growing there.
Oh, I agree. I think that it sounded like there's a lot of stuff in the ground there. And the guy from the company said he prefers to stake that versus putting it on water barrels, because he says that it just looks bad with water barrels because, you know, they're ugly. You know, water barrels are not particularly attractive. So he would rather have it somewhere he can stick it in the ground. So what they're proposing is that it goes in Riverside, and I can show you where they're proposing to put it if you'd like. So let me move Riverside picture.
Okay. Do these things have blowers, or are they just inflated one time and they just stay inflated?
They're inflated and they stay inflated, from what I understand.
So no blower on it. Okay.
No
like
blower on it. So
like a tube man. Okay.
Right. So this is again another bad Photoshop, but what they're proposing is that we use this area in the front to place one flower, and then also on the other side of the memorial stone place the backdrop. So you would have a flower on one side and then the backdrop that says Hope Blooms Ohio on the other side. That's their proposal.
So in this area, they could be staked because there's no irrigation in either of those two places.
That's why they liked that area. It sounded like this was a perfect place for staking something. And it's relatively large. When I went out there and measured for a 25-foot flower, it actually only takes up like a quarter of the space. So it wouldn't be very crowded. I was originally thinking we might be able to put 2 flowers in there if we needed to, but if we're going to put that backdrop, which to me is actually larger and less attractive, then the backdrop in that I think won't be visually oppressive. So I was originally thinking they could put the step and repeat like over here in the corner by that little library. But then again, I don't know what I think there's irrigation over there as well.
There is, and we have lots of
flowers there, and there's things planted, right? So maybe it's best to just use the middle, if that's, you know. The other part I thought was the area directly behind this, right next to the electric panel, a little further recessed into the park. I don't know what the situation is there for irrigation. Do you?
No, there isn't any.
Okay.
I don't think, is there, Mark? There's no irrigation in the grassy part of Riverside.
No, there's not.
Yeah.
So then this location which is here without any flower on it, we could use for a flower, and then the backdrop if that's their preferred location. And it sounded like that was workable. So, and like I said, we can move it back here to like it's off the picture, but back to where the panel is if we needed to do that. What do you think?
Angie, will these things attract a lot of bees?
Like big bees, like gigantic
giant bees coming in. I don't know.
Like Jurassic Park size. Yeah, that'd be good. It's going to be interesting. So just to give you like an overview, because I made this up for them. This is where we're thinking the flowers will be. One in Triangle Park, one in Riverside. One of them is going to be located on Township Hall, upright. Like they're Molly and the township, the trustees approved that. So it's going to be attached to the building in the middle of town. One of them we're hoping to get at CVLT. We still have to go to the board there. And then one would be located at the Historical Society on their front grass. And they're all in for that. So the two that we basically are 2 locations in the middle of town, Triangle Park and Riverside, besides Township, will be the most prominent. And I guess those are the locations that I'm proposing and that they approved in terms of being able to use. But if you have reservations or other rules you want to, put in place, please, let's get that ironed out with them ahead of time. And then I do have one more question for you guys that came up yesterday that we didn't really discuss this, but we probably need to give them some guidance. They're envisioning putting up these stakes, signs. Let me get back to this. So on their website, their website's awful. So let me just.
So you say they're asking for donations. How are they going about that?
Very.
Angie, you froze on us just a second. Angie, are you there? Let's give Angie a moment.
Okay.
I don't know.
I know what she's going to say is they make sort of this is like a scavenger hunt.
Well,
And the idea is that people who are viewing these flowers will want to go around town and find them all. So she probably wants to have some
Honestly,
signs.
Well, what do you think? How do they go about getting donations? Are they going to have people out collecting for donations, or is this...
So it's my understanding, and I was
You're
going to
back,
ask
Angie.
Angie about this, but it's
Yeah.
my understanding that this is a school project. It's the Engeld Tech program.
Mhm,
Are you familiar with that?
mhm.
Yeah. So it's the marketing portion of the Engeld Tech program. I mean, the classes are at Beechwood, but it's an area-wide program.
Right.
Like our Performing Arts Academy that's at Chagrin Falls High School is part of that Engeld Tech program. So there's students, and I was going to ask her what the student participation is. What are they planning to do?
Am I back or no?
Yes.
Oh, there you
yeah.
are. Hi.
So just it doesn't sound like they're planning to do any active solicitation. They have these signs that are, so I'll show you if I can, I don't know if I can show you real quick.
Is she frozen again?
Yes.
Got too much going on, I think, on her laptop.
Are these intended for people to, I didn't quite get this, actually sit on or interact with,
No.
have photos? They're not supposed to approach them.
I don't think so. I don't think you're supposed to touch them or play on them. I
The
know
ones laying on the ground will look
it looks
tempting. don't you
tempting. I
think?
know.
Yeah.
It looks quite
Looks like
tempting.
a little bit like a bounce house.
Uh-huh.
I
Well,
think-
when they were in New York, they all had names. And the idea was that you went around and tried to find all the flowers and, they all had names. So you knew there's like a little map to go and find them.
Yeah, it seems fun, for families and kids.
Mhm.
In cooperation with then the story walk later in the month and then the flowers on the trees. It sounds like a nice lineup for the month. I mean, I hate the plastic inflatable idea, but I guess what are you gonna do? Yeah,
Well,
that's just a personal opinion.
Yeah.
I'm going to get in my giant bee suit like they had on the Saturday Night Live and go from flower to flower.
That would be
I
funny.
just-
Let us know if you're gonna do that. We'll come out and take pictures. for the-
Okay.
somehow we've lost Angie.
Yeah.
And how long will
I-
they be up for?
From
One
April
week.
1st to April
A week.
8th.
Okay, so 1 week.
Yeah.
Great.
I just wish that it had gone to parks before it was approved by council. And that's going to be a topic of discussion tomorrow morning at this facilities and services meeting, because we have to get a grip on this.
So it's already been approved, really. We're not.
Yeah,
So,
we're just,
Yeah.
but I think in the future, things like this need to come to parks first.
Well, we do have a lot to cover, so maybe we should go ahead and either vote on
Okay.
it or move on to the next thing.
Okay,
Well, I think we should vote on it, although it's already been approved.
so are we
So
just
I-
voting, we're approving the location? The locations
Yeah.
look good.
The two
Yeah.
park locations, right?
So I make a motion that we approve the location for the two flowers in Triangle and Riverside Parks. And also the backdrop.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. The next item is the story walk that the library is putting up for April and May. It's Molly Gebler's book, Blossom. And you may recall that this is a project that was started by a librarian in Vermont. And the library friends buy 3 copies of the book. So 2 of the books are dismantled and the pages are laminated and they're installed on brackets that they're going to get some different brackets because the ones we had last fall were too, they weren't strong enough. So those will be placed along the walkway in Riverside for April and May. And as I said before, Blossom is the title of the book. And it's too bad that Blossom Time isn't going on, but it still goes with, the flowers and everything. So we have approved this already once. I just wanted to make sure you knew what was happening.
You approved it?
We approved it last fall and we approved
To
the
have,
placement of the story walk in the park. We approved it for the fall and for the spring.
this, okay. I have one comment question. And maybe it's just me, but what troubled me about it is that when you look at, when you walk by or walk along and look at it, starting from the village end, from Main Street, the signs are white.
I know, and
so you
we've
see
talked
this
about
whole
that.
row
And
of white signs along there. And I mean, I knew what it was, but I suppose, people who don't would wonder what it was. And I'm not sure that it looks particularly attractive. And I wondered if it would be too horribly expensive to put the same page on both sides of
right, and we've talked about that, and I talked to Brenna, who's the children's librarian at the library, and she's got it all set. And so maybe the next time they'll take apart 3 books so it can be laminated, so you can read it from either direction. But right now the plan is to have it, people would start at the library walkway and head toward Main Street.
Well, either that or not have a white backing, maybe green or brown or
Okay,
something that does, it just really looked, I don't know, maybe like I said, maybe it was just me that it bothered me. But you see these white things along the way when
Yeah.
you're walking in this direction, and that's all.
okay.
I have not seen these books. Has anybody actually read them? I mean, I'm afraid that, with having all these Dr. Seuss books getting taken off the market now, maybe this is something that needs to be reviewed.
But those were taken off the market because there was some question about them not being
I know.
PC. But the last book was about 2 dogs, Annie and I can't remember the other dog's name.
Yeah.
And it was written by a local Chagrin Falls woman and illustrated by Bob Takich. And so it was good. I enjoyed it. I read it a couple of times.
Mhm.
The idea is that it gives something for parents and children to do when you can't have story times at the library.
Mhm.
So,
And this is
Yeah.
Christy. I have one comment to make while we're discussing this. One option for the backside, if families are at the park and they want to partake in the story walk, the backside could say, it could be a standard arrow that says story walk starts this way with an arrow
Yeah.
toward the library. And that could be the backside of every single one of those signs.
mhm.
So it wouldn't be difficult to recreate or complex. And then
Yeah,
it could
yeah.
direct the parents and the children who are at the park to walk toward the library for the start of the story
Right.
walk. Something
Mhm.
like that. Just a
Yeah,
suggestion.
I'm the secretary for the Friends of the Chagrin Falls Library, and we have a meeting next Tuesday, so I can bring that up at that meeting.
Okay.
That's a good idea, Christy.
Yeah, it is. Thank you.
Yeah, because it also introduces to people what the signs are, and then
Right. Well, when I've been working in the river boxes as one of the beautification people, and people come along and they're looking this way and it keeps saying, go back to the library and start there. But you know. But I think, Nancy, your idea to have it on both sides is a good one. So I will mention that again to Brenna and at the meeting on Tuesday.
Yeah. I mean, I know, library, story time and stuff, but people, I don't know, and I don't have any numbers to support this, but it seems like more people would come in into the park off Main Street than walk into the park from
Right.
the library.
And I tried to explain that to Brenna last fall, but she said because it's a library thing, they want people to
Right.
start at the library.
Right, and I understand that.
Okay, so this is just sort of an information
Yeah.
thing. The next item is the serviceberry trees in the river boxes. And Mark, I need to ask you about this. I talked with Terry Browns about the fact that those trees were really damaged by the heavy snow this winter. And one of the trees is totally gone from the box that's closest to Main Street. So is the service department planning to replace the tree that's missing and also prune back the other ones that are broken? Mark?
Yeah, we'll take a look at them, Ann, in the next couple of weeks. I know we're supposed to talk with Terry and the Shade Tree Commission, both, I believe, on the whole tree plan for this year. So I'll get some information on that and get back to you.
Yeah, when I talked with Terry yesterday about it, he said, because I have a serviceberry that was really damaged too, and he said, just cut it back yourself and they'll usually regenerate. Who knows? It's worth a try. But
Yeah,
so,
we'll definitely look into it and see what we can do.
okay, great, thanks. Okay, and as I said earlier, the Facilities and Services Committee is meeting tomorrow to discuss public policy application process regarding park rules and holiday decorations. And I asked to be included in that meeting because, as I said earlier, there are going to be a lot of things coming along, pop-up type things. And I think that they need to be approved by the parks first and not other organizations, just so that we can keep track of what's going on and also have a policy. I mean, to be honest with you, I was not happy with those trees from Township Hall at Christmas because I understand that the mayor was trying to do something helpful for the chamber to be able to go on with their trees that they usually have inside Township Hall. So this was an alternative, but there was a lot of advertising there. And we've never allowed that in the parks, except maybe at Art by the Falls. But anyway, I plan to attend that meeting and I will get back to you about that at the next meeting.
Okay,
I mean, do you feel the same as I do about this?
I do.
What do you think, Jeff?
Well, so candidly, I thought the trees looked great. I didn't stop to think too much about the advertising. I did note it. I did note that from a distance and you're looking at it, the aesthetic was striking. I thought it was really pretty and people were enjoying it. When you get close, it did look a bit like you were on a showroom or like a convention floor or something where you have products lined up. So that I agree, that was a bit incongruous. And if there was maybe, although I guess that's how they do it when they do it indoors, right? Each tree is sponsored, so it's
Yeah.
But certainly if there's this tradition of being very cautious about not having promotions like that, then we need to take that into account going forward. Have some other way to do, maybe have a little plaque at the beginning just with numbers for the trees saying these are sponsored by these. So they still can get recognition for what they're providing, but it's not visually like a series of promotions.
Right.
Something like that. Although hopefully, it's back indoors next year. Although, did people like it so much that they wanted it to be outdoors again? I mean, it seemed like a lot of people liked taking pictures of it. I wonder if people really liked it and would like to see it outdoors again.
It seems like people liked it to me. And I had a lot of comments from people out of town who saw it on the news and wanted to come into Chagrin to see these lights. But I agree with the advertising piece of it. And that's the only thing that worries me about the flowers on the tree, which I think is a lovely, lovely idea. But how is she going to have the same kind of placardy advertising? I guess not.
No,
she said she wouldn't.
I don't think so.
I don't think she is.
Point. Yeah.
She directly said, I won't have my name.
Yeah.
Displayed.
but she'll acknowledge the people who are sponsoring her in a
Maybe
sign.
just
On her
maybe
Facebook
just on her
page, I think.
Instagram page. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm
Yeah,
sure
we
she will
didn't
be using
approve-
this for marketing on her Instagram page, which I think that's fine.
Yeah.
We didn't approve putting a sign there, and yeah,
No.
she will market it on Instagram and Facebook and whatever.
Mhm. So probably there's just a better way for the trees to be, acknowledged, like who decorated which tree, because that is kind of fun to see. Like, oh, Fireside did this tree. I don't think they do a tree, and then see all the little books on the tree. I mean, that isn't awful because it is Chamber of Commerce, right? And we are
Mhm.
trying. I don't know. So I guess I can go either way on the trees, I suppose.
Well,
But
when
I
they,
understand that I think that parks should be included in the discussion, at least if not brought to us first to say,
yeah.
yeah.
When I've only been in that display in Township a couple of times, but when those small trees were decorated, like the library had one and other groups, then people bought them, didn't they? They actually
Yes.
physically took the trees home.
Yeah, they were
Decorated.
auctioned off, and
Mhm.
it was a fundraiser.
Yeah.
That to me is more appealing to have it inside that way.
Mhm. Well,
Because-
hopefully next year then it'll change. I don't know though. Maybe this will become a tradition, I guess. And that'll be interesting what they say tomorrow is if that's what they're
Yeah.
saying. Yeah.
So I'll report back to you at the next Parks meeting.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, the next item is the Grove Hill Park design. Nancy, has anything happened with that yet?
No,
Yes.
we have a meeting today. Grove Hill Committee has a meeting today at 2:00.
Good. Okay, then beautification is, I've got it here on the agenda. We have two cleanup dates. April 8th is the day we hope to do it. April 15th is the snow/rain date. And then planting, we're doing urns on May 13th, which is a Thursday, and the parks gardens and bump outs on Friday the 14th. And we're hoping to have a Zoom meeting with all the volunteers. So, because this is the coolest thing. The Cuyahoga County Library has made it possible for anyone who's a library patron to set up a Zoom meeting for as many as 300 people for 2 hours.
Wow.
And I did it for the beautification co-chairs last week. And it was great. It only took me a few minutes to set it up. And Janine and I even had a practice run, and it's great. I mean, I'd much rather be with people in person, but if we can do a Zoom, that's wonderful. So we're planning to do that. Does anyone have anything for miscellaneous? Oh, I know, Greta, you wanted to talk about Rust Belt Riders.
Right. So we brought this up last meeting. Rust Belt Riders is the composting company that my husband works for. And they are supplying, well, they're doing a couple different things. They pick up all the compost from all the Heinens in Cleveland, including Bainbridge and Chagrin Falls. And the idea of this circular economy, right, is that they use that compost to make soil, and they sell it to farms, they sell it to individuals, they sell it to the Chagrin Falls Booster Club, I think, is also using it in a fundraiser this year and selling the soil. So I guess I thought that it would be a no-brainer for Chagrin Falls to use some of the soil that is created by the compost of Chagrin Falls residents in our parks. And so, I tried to bring that up with John and just trying to follow up on that idea. I think that that's a kind of a cool way to bring the community together and, have this idea of what we compost in our community and even at Heinen's, even if you're not doing it at home, is then used to make soil that is in our parks. So that's the idea with Rust Belt Riders.
So could this take the place of Sweet Pete?
Yeah, they have all different levels of organic soil, based on the need, of what
Because
you need.
Mark, we put Sweet Pete in all the garden beds and bump outs, and if we could do it using Rust Belt Rider compost, that would be great.
Absolutely. I would not have an issue with that. I was actually not aware of it. John's kind of been in the budget mode, so we've I'm kind of leaving them alone, but yeah, I'll definitely talk to them about it. I'm very interested in hearing more about it.
Okay, great. I'll put you guys together. I'll send him. Okay, great. Thanks, Mark. And soil, maybe even for beautification. You guys get your soil from Lowe's, right?
We get it from Lowe's, and I talked to Janine about that because I was hoping to use Rust Belt Riders, but it makes the ordering so complicated. And
Okay,
we're just about, we just have to find out about a few more urns. So we've got to get our flower orders in because flowers are greatly limited because of COVID. So she wanted to just stick with the Happy Frog and just order it all at the same time from Lowe's.
okay. And Rust Belt has a partnership with Lowe's as well. They have one of their big composting bins at Lowe's.
Oh,
So
that's good to know.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, okay. So possibly next year for beautification.
Yeah,
Get in before the orders are in. Okay.
yeah.
But yeah, I'd encourage everyone to look at the Booster Club fundraiser too, because they are selling the soil too as their fundraiser this year. So, and that is it on that.
Does anybody have anything else? This has been the longest meeting we've had in a long time.
Well, it's
Okay.
spring, so we're all looking forward to more flowers
Yeah.
and planting, and very exciting.
there's-
It's something to look forward to other than SNOW.
Yeah, and just being inside all the time. Okay, our next meeting is Wednesday, April 7th at 8:30. And if there's anything pressing, I will let you know between now and then. Okay, is there anybody else waiting in the wings for
Was
this?
that Christy? I couldn't. Whoever that was sounded miles
Christy.
away.
No, I think there was some background noise somewhere.
Oh,
We do have a few people in attendance. If there's anything you'd like to add to the meeting, could you use the raise your hand function in the Zoom platform to let us know? I see a last name Wilson, last name Drum. I see no hands raised, so perhaps they were just listening at this time.
yeah.
I think they were interested in Grove Hill
Okay,
in the
Super.
new park.
Yeah, Grove Hill, 2:00 today via Zoom.
yes.
Yes, thank you.
And is it on the-
If you're listening there, if you want to know how to get on that Zoom, go to chagrin-falls.org and then find the virtual web page. There's a link to it from our home page, and all of the links to join all of our public meetings are there. It's a click to join. So again, chagrin-falls.org, then go to the virtual meeting page, then find your meeting and click to join. And you should be able to have access to any public meeting that we have.
Great, I'm excited.
Yeah, thank you, Christy.
I really like this. I think it's very helpful. And thank you, Christy, for all that you do to make it happen.
Oh, thanks. My part's easy. You do the hard work.
Sometime in the
I don't know
not too
about
distant
that, Christy.
future, we're going to have to set up a Zoom meeting between the beautification co-chairs and the service department.
You
Because,
just let me know and I'll set it
Okay.
up. Not a problem.
all right. Okay,
Jeff, I'd give a plug to your editorial in Sunday's Plain Dealer.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank
oh,
you.
I
Thank
didn't
you
see it.
for
What was it
writing that.
about?
Yeah,
Well, it's about preventing future pandemics. So just noting that all of the recent pandemics, starting with the 1918 flu to SARS, AIDS, and Ebola, they've all been what are called zoonotic. So they start in animals and they move to people, and that's why they become so problematic. Is when people get exposed, it's something that they've never been exposed to before when it comes from an animal. And so there's just a variety of things we need to do to kind of maintain these natural boundaries that keep viruses from spilling over to people. So, and I work for the World Wildlife Fund, so I work on these issues. So when we think about let's not go through this again, if we get better at our managing forests, managing wildlife, we can hopefully avoid the next pandemic.
That's great. I'm going to try to find that
yeah.
editorial.
Is it on cleveland.com?
Yeah, it's on cleveland.com.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do get the actual paper on Sunday.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was fun because they do a good job with graphics, and I didn't even know they were going to do this, but they did one of their graphics for it.
Yeah.
So that was a nice surprise.
Great. I look forward to watching that. Cleveland.com. Okay. Thank you, everybody.
All right.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
And
Bye.
will you officially adjourn, please?
Yes, we are officially adjourned at 9:49 a.m.
Wonderful. Thank you.